even how they could do it and still argue the fact that it makes them better. If Kluber comes back and Carrasco comes back, they still think they can trade Trevor Bauer and become a better team. And maybe if they can get some decent outfielders, okay? So, frustration. I mean, you got the Orioles, the Marlins, the Royals, the Tigers, the Blue Jays, and the Mariners. Obviously, all these teams have made commitments to rebuild, sacrificing competitiveness. All right? So, I'll tell you what. All six of those teams, five of whom Cole sees fairly regularly in the American League, they're all at least 16 games under 500 at the break. Unbelievable. So there's always a spin to it, all right, with competitive balance. I know in the Central Division it's pretty cool. It's pretty close, and that's going to be a good battle. But there are too many teams in Major League Baseball where winning is not the number one priority, and that is no good. Now, the Yankees are not one of those teams, and I just want to check up. I'm sending somebody today to find out the condition of Jacoby Ellsbury. Holy mackerel, Jacoby Ellsbury. I'm looking to these guys on the injured list. Luke Vogt, Troy Tulowitzki, whatever happened to him? Miguel Andujar, Giancarlo Stanton, Jacoby Ellsbury, Cameron Maybin, Greg Bird, Luis Severino, Jordan Montgomery, Jonathan Loaisiga, Ben Heller, Dylan Betances, and Jake Barrett. There you go. That's a winning team. That's better than the teams that are tanking. Unbelievable. They would do better. This team would want to win. The other teams don't want to win. It would be interesting to me to see DJ LeMahieu win the American League batting title and Jeff McNeil win the National League. I can't recall a time where two New York teams were represented by the top batting average leader in their respective leagues. The big question mark for the Yankees, can Giovanni Urshela continue to play outstanding ball? Can Brett Gardner sustain what he's been doing? He's come on very big, okay? Those are the two. We know what Judge is going to do. We know what Encarnacion's going to do. Everybody else is predictable. Gardner may have played a little bit over his head. The question is, can he do it? Was Cha-Cha right in dropping him? Giovanni Urshela, that's a big deal right there, okay? That's a big deal. So we'll see how that works out. And now with LeMahieu playing a lot of first base, looks like Urshela is back on tap as being a top third baseman in the American League. Of course, the pitching with Tanaka, Happ, and Paxton, that's how they go. The Yankees are very heavy in the trade market for a pitcher. I can't say who it's going to be. Is it going to be the pitcher from Arizona? Is it going to be the strikeout guy? I don't know who it's going to be. I can speculate. Well, I can tell you one thing. I don't think it's going to be Zach Wheeler. I don't think it's going to be Syndergaard or Wheeler. That's the only one. Ottavino is big. Britton is big. Chad Green, who I was going to take last night in the draft, I just didn't have enough space. But we all know about the Yankees. As far as Tampa is concerned, I got to tell you, Avisail Garcia has been tremendous. Very solid, under-the-radar player. Outside of that, I mean, Tommy Pham and Kevin Kiermaier, Austin Meadows has never recovered. So I don't think Austin Meadows is a pick if you have him and you want to trade him to somebody who wants to keep him for next year, if you can get what you can. Blake Snell and Charlie Morton are two guys. Don't forget Glasnow on the 60-day, so that's going to be tough. They need a pitcher here. And don't forget, in the Craig Kimbrell sweepstakes, Tampa was the number 2 team. So you know that they're going to go out and try to salvage the series against the Yankees, where they didn't win the series, really hurt. They have a lot of games now against Baltimore. This is it right here. So this will determine if Tampa will be a buyer or just sit tight, okay? Emilio Pagan right now looks like he could be the closer. They need better than that. Toronto. Look, Vlad Lourdes Gurriel, who I think is going to be a tremendous player. No question. This team, and this is the only team that I'll give a pass to, with Kevin Biggio, with Bo Bichette still yet to be seen, Lourdes Gurriel. He's right in there with the Vlad and the Biggio. He's right in there. He's as good as anyone, any of those guys. As Andy mentioned last night on the broadcast, Freddie Galvis just having a great year. So, look, this is a team. Marcus Stroman and Aaron Sanchez. I can't believe that Aaron Sanchez is going to be traded. Any team really wants him. Marcus Stroman's going to be well coveted. Same thing with Ken Giles. And once again, when I mentioned Ken Giles, in the spring training, at the trading deadline, you got Ken Giles, Will Smith, Colome from the White Sox, you got Ian Kennedy, you got Shane Green, and you got Iglesias from Cincinnati, and you got Kirby Yates. So you have I'll use a big word now, Cha-Cha, so get ready, plethora of relief pitchers who may not be relief pitchers, and yet they'll still cause a lot of havoc. They'll be in the headlines. So the pitchers, by the way, as we get into the Central Division, before we do, let me just tell you about the players who I think have a good chance to be traded here, okay? First of all, Matt Boyd, that we know. Mike Minor, Stroman. Not a lot of starting pitchers. Then you get Zach Greinke, who I think will go if Arizona can figure out what they want to do. Wheeler and Syndergaard. Andrew Kashner. Not a lot of starting pitchers out there that look like, and certainly not a lot of hitters. I mean, you got D. Gordon, Castellanos, Todd Frazier, you got Mancini, you got Clint Frazier. There's just not a lot of. It's all going to be relief pitchers. A lot of relief pitchers are going to be picked up in the next week or two. Moving on to the Central Division. I got to tell you, I really like this White Sox team. Tim Anderson, I wanted to take him, but he's not going to be. He may not be back till the beginning of August, so be careful with Tim Anderson in the second half of the year. Eloy, I'll tell you what, I think that guy took him in the draft. Nice pick. I wanted him, but I didn't have a chance to get him. Moncada, I think, is good, the switch hitter. He's going to break out. But look, between what they have here in McCann, Abreu, Moncada, Eloy, and Tim Anderson, it's not bad. I think they could use a pitcher or two, and we'll see Dylan Cease get another start, along with Giolito. These will be the two guys, the two mainstays. Would I be surprised if Ronaldo Lopez or Ivan Nova was dealt by the White Sox? Heck no. No, I would not be surprised. I think they like Dylan Covey. Unfortunately, Rodon is out, but they got Dylan Cease and Giolito. I think the White Sox are going to be very interesting. Keep an eye out on left-handed pitcher Aaron Bummer. He could wind up getting some saves down the stretch along with Kelvin Herrera. Okay? So that's what we got. Cleveland, look, it's been well documented that the Indians would love to trade Carlos Santana. They would love to trade Trevor Bauer. And they may be in a position where they may have to trade Francisco Lindor. And Cleveland is the number one team that wants to trade but is afraid to lose. Yet they want to lose. I don't think Cleveland really wants to win. And Lindor could be a $300 million player. And Cleveland just can't handle it. So if they traded him now, they could trade him for a bundle. There have been a couple of teams that have shown some minor interest in Lindor, and I think that's the big one. Don't forget also, keep an eye out. You may want to pick him up in your draft. Bradley Zimmer. I don't really have an update other than to say that pretty certain that you could expect to see Bradley Zimmer in the second half. So that's what you want to do. Right now, the Indians with Bauer, Bieber, Clevenger, and Plutko, that's what they got. I mean, Kluber, Carrasco, Danny Salazar could wind up back in that rotation. So I'm not sure if Cleveland. This is really weird. I think they're a ball club that would rather lose so they could say to their fans, we're rebuilding, but they can't rebuild. Oscar Mercado was done very well. Jose Ramirez, again, if you make a commitment to be in a draft, you don't want Jose Ramirez taken in the first round. It's just not right. It's not fair to everybody else. And I know I'm not picking on anybody, but I will say, because life gets in the way. Goodness gracious, fantasy stuff is important, but I know, and if your job called you, that's the kind of stuff. But if you even have a chance of that happening, you're probably better off just staying away. That's it. I mean, there's plenty of drafts. Matt Boyd, we know that Miggy Cabrera has been very outspoken. He believes that Matt Boyd should not be traded. If you're going to rebuild, then you trade Shane Green because you got Joe Jimenez to fill in. You trade Nick Castellanos, but you don't trade your best pitcher. Now you take a look at the Tiger prospects, and I kind of like the Tiger prospects. Okay? Tiger prospects. And of course, it may be a couple of years, but they got Casey Mize. They've got Matt Manning, who you saw in the Futures game. They got Daz Cameron, who could be up this year. Don't forget, Jake Rogers, good-looking young catcher. Christian Stewart, who's been up. We like these players. This is not Franklin Perez, who we've been waiting for. All right? Isaac Paredes, good-looking young shortstop. I kind of like these players. So they have a core, a nice core of young players, and I would take the position that that Detroit maybe should not. Good morning to Jack Youngblood. Nice to see you. George is here too. Okay, thanks, George. Thanks, Mr. Youngblood. Nice to have you aboard. All right, so that's what I got. That's what we got. Now, good morning to Arnie and Beach Bum and the Bear Man. Good morning to Cam and Cha-Cha and the Amazons and the DK Loosh. Davaka Bizzle, Easy Kill. Give me a call, buddy. George, Jimmy Ross, Leonard Donaldson, Short Porch. There's a drive to deep right field into the short porch in Yankee Stadium. That guy, the real Double A, coming to your wedding on Holy Toledo. Good morning to you. I'm coming to Toledo once again. Yeah, that's right. I sniped that. Getting sniped. What a stupid thing that is. Could you describe how you feel? I got sniped. That guy. I'll tell you who you sniped me on. I was sure I was going to get him. Scott Kingery. Think about how you feel when you find, and also Carlos Correa, I think you may have sniped me on him too. I see Correa and Kingery, and I see Correa, and I even checked to see, Malpal, you getting sound? I know you're in the chat room. I just want to make sure you're getting sound. I know there's been some trouble. Andy's been working on it, okay? Thanks for your patience, everybody. So, we've all experienced it, but now let's just take a step back and think about how you feel when you get sniped. Now, I found Korea, and I realized he's coming back, man. And Kingery is still there, and so in both cases, I think it was that guy who sniped me. Think about, try to describe, put it in the chat room. How do you feel when you get sniped, especially by the guy who's picking right before you? Okay? How do you feel when you get sniped by the pick right? You're all set to go. All set. You're watching 2 or 3 guys ahead of you, and they don't take the guy you want. Now it comes up to that guy who's right before me, and he takes it. Now, miserable, fine, but really, see if you can describe it more. It's a weird feeling, right? Is there anything else in your life, that can equal the feeling of being sniped in a draft? I don't know. See if we can come up with a comp of being sniped by the owner who's picking right before you. Is it seeing your girlfriend with another guy? No.